Alrighty, welcome everybody back to the Hot and Cold podcast. I'm your host, as always, David Miller, joined by my wonderful co-host, Andrew Watkins. Andrew, how are we doing today?
Very, very good. Very tired.
You and me both, dude. So we're gonna start out with a question, as per usual. Andrew, who was your favorite superhero?
Spider-Man. Basic, whatever. I don't care.
It's basic, but it's a great answer. It's basic, but like you can't be wrong. You cannot go wrong with Spider-Man. Um, Personally, I'm more of a Nightwing guy myself, the original Robin, the man himself. Speaking of DC Comics, the Batman, they dropped an extended scene or a deleted scene where Batman goes to see the Joker. Andrew, how did you feel about that?
I think the scene is really good, and I think it's like perfect for that movie. But I'm really glad that they left it out because what I've seen on like the reactions to it is like if that was in the movie, that would be what everyone was talking about leaving the movie.
Yeah.
And instead of doing that, they just focused on the Riddler, which I like a lot more. But I think that Keoghan does an amazing job in that 5 minute scene. It's super scary. I love they're like it seems like they've already like met each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's so promising.
Yeah, I love that it's set up to be like the Joker was Batman's first big bust, so he's going back to him to like get the information, kind of like some Hannibal Lecter type shit in Silence of the Lambs. I absolutely love it as well. But I've seen a lot of people saying they don't think it was actually cut, that they think they manufactured it as a PR move just to release it after the movie to like tease the sequel or tease the future of it, which I think is not like unrealistic. And I think that would be wonderful if that was the case. Because I,
Yeah.
I can't think of a part in the movie where that would fit in, you know? Like that movie, it just felt so perfectly cut together that I can't think of a point where they would have just slotted it in. And maybe that's why it got cut originally. I don't know, but I do agree. I think Barry Keoghan is a wonderful Joker. That one seed was literally everything you would want out of the Joker and more. The laugh was perfect. His like vocal mannerisms were perfect. You couldn't see his face or what he was doing a lot, but I have a lot of faith for him going forward. Which brings me to my next question. I don't know how familiar you are with like the extended Batman like mythos or anything, but what other villains would you want to see come up in maybe the sequel or the third movie?
Well, I think everyone wants the Joker, but
Well,
I think
obviously.
realistically, the Court of Owls is what I've been seeing a
Yes.
lot
Okay. Yep.
because of the corruption. But
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see a Harvey Dent, of course,
Mm-hmm.
because he represents the hope of Gotham or whatever. I think that
Mm-hmm.
that's not what I hope. That's more realistic
Right.
because the DA dies, uh, and it's like getting into the point where Gotham is like leaning into hope and not being fear anymore. So then he would come in, and then like in the Dark Knight, they do the same type of thing,
Mm-hmm.
where Dent comes in like the darkest hour for Gotham, and then he gets manipulated by the Joker in that
Right.
movie. But whoever,
Okay. I love the idea of bringing Harvey Dent into this. Two-Face is one of the best Batman villains, obviously. And the Court of Owls, too, I think would be wonderful. Robert Pattinson said in a couple interviews that he's a big fan of the Court of Owls, and I think him and Matt Reeves both are. But I would really like them if they did the second movie as a Court of Owls movie, and then the third movie just being a big compilation of his whole rogues gallery. Like you have Two Face, Joker, Riddler, Mister Freeze, Clayface. Just do everybody, and they're like all working under the Joker or something. Like you said, with Two Face being manipulated by the Joker. I think that would be great. I think that would be a great way to do this movie because you take the second movie, you focus on the corruption of Gotham, and then you can take the third movie and once you solve the corruption at the top, you kind of have to deal with like the low lives of Gotham. And I think a good way to do that as well would be for the third movie to introduce Dick Grayson himself, bring in a Robin, because that's my number one like dream for this trilogy is we need a real live action adaptation of him because we haven't had a good one since like the Adam West campy 40s or 50s, whatever it was. Like there has not been a good Dick Grayson. Like they tried it in The Dark Knight, kind of, where they had
Yeah,
Joseph
they didn't
Gordon-Levitt
really
as the cop.
try. They
They
didn't try
alluded
it.
to
It was
it,
like,
yeah.
you should use your real name, Robin. Oh,
Right, right. That wasn't even in The Dark Knight. That was in the third one.
yeah, whatever that one's called,
Um,
man.
and then they tried it with the Michael Keaton Batman movies of the 80s, 90s. I can't remember what decade it was. And he was like a 20-some-year-old man that was just kind of like edgy. And they kind of tried to play it off like there was sexual tension between him and Bruce, which is
So weird.
there was
Super weird.
yeah, there was like a book written about that a long time ago, during the Adam West era, where I can't remember the guy's name, but he was saying that Batman, the concept of the character was like a child predator or a child groomer, and he was grooming Dick to be like his lover, which is a whole other bag of worms to dive into. But um, I think Robert Pattinson said in an interview that if he does it, or if Robin is in it, he wants it to be like an actual kid, which would be so perfect because that's what they need. That's what we need. Because, like I said, he's my favorite superhero, and we've never had a real, genuine live action adaptation. Well, no, they have Titans, which is like the CW Teen Titans show, but that doesn't count. That doesn't count. That
Nobody cares about that. Come
yeah,
on now.
yeah, and like the biggest thing, which I'm glad they leaned into that with um the Batman movie, where Batman and Robin don't kill ever, and Robin in Titans kills like 8 people, so it's not Robin at all. It's just it sucks. Like DC is just so bad with their movies. They don't know how to use their characters at all. It's horrible. And I'm glad Matt Reeves finally got it right. You know, we talked about it a lot on the last episode. But I think he can be the one to really get Robin right as well, because he has Bruce as sort of the oh, excuse me. He has Bruce as like the tortured soul Batman rather than the super angry, I want to beat everybody up, I am vengeance Batman. Like he starts out with that and then he kind of turns into like the real Batman. So I think him getting a hold of Robin would be great. Um, but yeah, I think a Court of Owls movie, like you said, would be great. And then ending up with Two-Face in the third movie would be awesome. Just like show that Harvey Dent is in Gotham and working as the DA in the second movie. And then like maybe at the end, maybe you can link the accident that fucks up his face to the Court of Owls somehow. Because Toothface is a hard character to use, I feel like, because of the real lack of big Two-Face stories. You have one, which is The Long Halloween, and every Batman movie that has ever had Two-Face in it has already borrowed from that heavily, and even the Batman borrowed from it heavily. The whole the big thing with the Maronis and the Falcone, or with Falcone, that's all The Long Halloween. So it's kind of hard to do that again with Harvey Dent. So you'd have to come up with something new, but yeah, I think that would be great. So moving on from that, March Madness is happening. We're now in the Final Four, and of course, my Carolina Tar Heels are in the Final Four. Did you get to watch them play St. Peter's?
I didn't because I was so conflicted.
Dude, they blew the doors off of them.
I know.
from
I
from the fucking opening. Carolina was just better, and no, and everybody doubted them. Everybody wanted St. Peter's to win, but the true white boy of the year, not Doug Eater, the true white boy of the year, Brady Manick, balled out. He had 19 and 8, I think, and then Armando Bacot had 20 and 22, which he's now tied with Tim Duncan for the most double doubles in a season in ACC history, which is like insane. Dude can't hit a free throw to save his life, but other than that, he's killing it. What else happened? What else happened? Oh, Carolina now has the most Final Four appearances and most tournament wins ever, by the way. Greatest college program of all time. I don't care what anyone says.
I can agree with that.
My Discord is blowing up for no reason. Oh, and then Gonzaga got knocked out of the tournament. They're fraudulent. Speaking of Gonzaga, I want to ask you a question about Chet Holmgren. You know, he's projected to be like the number one pick. He's the big man. How do you feel about his weight?
How much does he weigh?
He's like scrawny. I don't know how much he weighs, but like his frame is tiny. And it's not like
Yeah.
he's Kevin Durant where he can get away with it because he plays on the perimeter. He plays down low. That's his entire game.
I think I don't know. That's like the only concern you can really
Right,
have for Chet,
right.
other than like shooting, but like
No, you don't need him to.
yeah. But like you just said, in the NBA you're gonna go up against Joel Embiid and
Hmm.
Jokic and Bam Adebayo and Giannis and LeBron and all these big body people that will just throw you around. I think he needs to change that. He needs to go into this before the draft
Hmm.
and just work out. Find a way to gain as much weight as possible. Just bulk like crazy because that is going to be a main concern for him because like not only is that going to mess him up in a game, but that will lead to him getting injured a lot because
Yeah.
he will get thrown around. He doesn't have the support that you would have if you did work out like that. That's basically the only reason that you would work out like that to stop yourself from getting injured or also to get stronger. But like athletes work out to avoid injury, and you need to do that if you're going to move from college basketball being scrawny to playing up against all these big and like these people know how to use their bodies as well more than people in college do. So he's not only going to get thrown around because of weight, but also because of the technique that you need and the footwork and all that. And I think that that's going to be a big issue because I think he's going to drop off if he doesn't change
Hmm.
his weight.
Yeah, it's like when Giannis first came out and he was super scrawny, and then look at him now. You know, it took him a couple years hitting the gym, but I definitely think if Chet wants to commit, he can have that type of turnaround. I don't think he'll be as dominant as Giannis, obviously, but I think he can. You know, like you said, it's literally his only issue other than shooting, which, like I said, it doesn't really matter. You don't need him to be a shooter. If he can put on some weight, put on some muscle, he can be a dangerous rim presence, paint presence. And yeah, that's like the only thing he needs to fix because he's a hell of a ball player. You know, he got thrown out in Gonzaga's loss for like the softest call ever. Did you see that?
No.
Dude, he went like straight up, literally textbook, what you're supposed to do. And the refs called it a, I can't remember. I don't remember if it was a flagrant foul or if it was like his final foul that he needed. Yeah, it was something goofy. They called the softest thing in the world, and he got thrown out earlier, and that's pretty. Yeah, they got thrown out early, and that's pretty much why Gonzaga got thrown out of the tournament. Um, what else happened? Oh, Kansas. Who did they beat? Shit, Miami. They played Miami, and they came back on them and won. So they're in the Final Four. So it's Kansas, Carolina, Duke, and Villanova. And Carolina is opening as 4 point underdogs, 4.5 point underdogs against Duke. And I don't care. Carolina already sent Coach K packing in his last home game. They're going to send him packing in his last tournament. And then they're going to go to the finals and probably play Kansas and whoop their asses. And then Brady Manick is going to be remembered as the greatest white college basketball player ever. That's what I
Got
think
it
is going
all
to
laid
happen.
out, man.
Yeah, I know the future. See, my people, they told me. They came to me. They told me what's going to happen. Realistically, though, Carolina's defense is on point right now. It's crazy the turnaround Carolina's had this year because they were very like mediocre in the regular season, and then kind of pretty much right around that Duke game, maybe a couple games before, they just flipped a switch, and now they're one of the most dominant teams in the country. They were up like what 20 something on Baylor before Brady Manick got thrown out for a soft elbow, and they just beat St. Peter's, who was the greatest Cinderella team ever by 20. They're
Poor St. Peter's, man.
yeah, no, I feel bad for St. Peter's.
I feel so bad.
Yeah, like they came all that way just to get the doors blown off of them. Like they got exposed hard against Carolina. They shot terrible.
Yeah.
Like it was bad. Carolina's defense was on point, and that's really what their strength is Carolina's insane defensively, 1 through 5, especially Leaky Black, which is still, hold on, I gotta find his full name because Leaky Black's name is just awesome.
I was gonna say that sounds like a bad like 2K name.
No, it's Rayshawn Leaky Black. That's his full name. His name's Rayshawn Black, but he goes by Leaky, which is awesome.
Oh,
And the dude's like a defensive master. I think he's a senior. I think he's been with Carolina for 5 years, though. I think something happened with him. And then Brady Manick's a super senior too. But Carolina's got a couple guys that are going to go into the draft this year. Caleb Love is probably going to be a first round pick, or should be a first round pick. Armando Baycott's going to be a first round pick. And then I don't know anything else. I haven't paid any attention to like the draft boards or anything for the NBA. I've been so caught up with the NFL. So I have no idea who's projected to go where. I just know those two are projected to get drafted. If you ask me, Brady Manick should get drafted, but it's something about those white big men from UNC that never pan out. Like Tyler Hansbrough wasn't that good. Who else was there? Tyler Zeller wasn't that good. Luke May never made it to the league, and I don't think Brady Manick's going to be the one to change that, unfortunately. Although those are always like the most fun players for Carolina. It's just the random white big man that can shoot really well. Or I guess in Zeller's case, he was just a really dominant force in the paint, but I don't know. I don't talk about college basketball a lot. I need to more because I get so into it when Carolina's killing it. I'm even more of a casual with college ball than I am with the NBA. That's what it is. I literally do not watch until Carolina's in the tournament. But moving on from college ball, the NBA, Andrew, you wanted to talk about the Celtics and Robert Williams.
okay. Well, first of all, I said like a week ago the Celtics could win out
Mm-hmm.
because there's not that many games left, and we were the best team in basketball other than like the Suns.
Yeah.
But the thing about the Suns is that they've been that good. They're continuing to be that good. It's
Mm-hmm.
whatever. But the Celtics were like blowing teams out by 30 that they should have not have been doing that. And I was so hyped. We just got the first seed last night. We got it. And now today the news is that Robert Williams might be out indefinitely with a meniscus tear.
Oh, that's what it was. Shit.
So basically, our historically good defense, literally historically amazing defense, is not that good anymore. Because,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have like Daniel Tice that's probably going to replace him.
I
Which
love me some Daniel Tice, though.
it's
I love me
decent.
some Daniel Tice.
It's decent, but it's not Robert Williams.
No, it's not. It's not.
I mean, we still have Jason Tatum and
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Brown and all those guys, but there will be a fall off for sure. And if he doesn't come back for the playoffs, I'm such a sad fan. I will have tears in my eyes as we get beaten in the first round by the Nets or something like that.
Yeah, both of our teams are in bad shapes for the playoffs now because I think as of right now, the Bulls would play the Bucks and they would just get smacked around. There's
Yeah.
no chance the Bulls can beat the Bucks in a 7-game series. They have no paint presence. Nikola Vucevic is still my least favorite basketball player. I've made up my mind on that now. Other than LeBron, he is my least favorite player in the NBA now because he is a complete
Grayson Allen?
liability.
Grayson
Oh
Allen?
yeah, I forgot. I don't even like to think about Grayson Allen. You're right. You're right. So third least favorite. I, I hate Vooch now. He's a liability. But yeah, that's a rough blow for the Celtics because I mean that's literally your defensive anchor. And like you said, that was what really propelled the Celtics, and not having him going forward is rough.
I think he
Especially,
was averaging 2 blocks a game, by the way. So
damn,
that's big. That's
yeah,
massive.
that's going to be really bad. Especially if you imagine, no, that wouldn't work because you guys are the 1 seed right now. There would be no way you could get matched up against the Bucks. But yeah, no matter what, both of our teams are screwed, unfortunately. Uh, Something interesting I saw. I haven't watched a lot of Bulls basketball recently. Like I said, I've been looking into the draft a lot, and Carolina's been on, so that's pretty much been the only basketball I've watched the last couple of days. But Patrick Williams is back from injury, and apparently he's not getting a lot of minutes, even though he's supposed to be like fully healthy, which is very concerning because he's playing less than Javante Green and Tristan Thompson, who granted have played very well for the Bulls this year. They shouldn't be getting minutes over Williams. So that's concerning and something to keep an eye out for because Patrick Williams might not be all he was chalked up to be, or maybe this injury like really screwed him over long term. Which, if that's the case, that's really bad
It's
because
awful.
yeah, we talked about at the trade deadline maybe trading him for Jeremy Grant, and they decided to hold on to him because they thought he could end up being at least as good as Jeremy Grant. And if he can't pick it up like now, that's not going to happen. So the Bulls made a big mistake not moving him at the deadline, which would be back-to-back years of Arturas Karnisovas and Mark Eversley screwing up at the deadline because you went out and got Vooch last year and, not moving Patrick Williams this year. The the honeymoon phase with the Bulls died so quickly. It's so
Yeah,
tragic.
I was still holding on to hope that they would like make a push or like recover with all the people coming back, but at this point, it's like just sad to see.
Well, the thing is, we can have everybody healthy. We're just not going to win anything without a dominant paint presence. We don't have it. Vooch isn't good down low. I mean, he is offensively, but he can't play defense for shit. And Tristan Thompson is all right, but he's not stopping Giannis. He's not stopping Embiid. And that's like, Embiid's never lost to the Bulls before, and that's why the Bulls have not had a decent center since Embiid's been in the league. It's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. So, and I was hoping that Patrick Williams could be that guy that could step in for at least Giannis. He can't guard Embiid, obviously, but they're screwed. They're so screwed. Lonzo's going to come back, and that's going to make it a little bit better, but, like, other than that, that's what they're going to have to do this offseason. They're going to have to really buckle down. They're probably going to have to trade, like, Vooch, Kobe White, and another pick for a decent center. I won't even know who I would want them to get. I can't even think of anybody that would fill their need. Maybe like Steven Adams would be great, but
I love Steven Adams so much.
I can't see that happening. That was the only thing. Where's he even at now?
He's on the Grizzlies.
Well, yeah, then he's absolutely not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
He's probably like the best pick setter in the league, and
Yeah.
him with John Morant
Mm-hmm.
wide open every time.
Yeah,
Trust me,
exactly.
He's a brick wall. He's a brick wall.
Mhm.
I wanted him so bad on the Celtics, but
Mm-hmm. Have you seen where the Grizzlies' win percentage when John Morant isn't on the floor is like the highest in a single season ever? StatMuse posted something about it on TikTok today. Yeah, they have like an 89% win percentage when Ja isn't on the floor, or when Ja isn't playing in the game, which is crazy. Which it's only been like a handful of games without him. But the fact that that team's so good to sustain itself even without an MVP candidate is absolutely bonkers. Speaking of Ja, though, I saw an interesting discussion. He's going to be most improved, right?
I think he's got to be.
Yeah. But what about DeMar? Like, maybe my bias is seeping in there a little bit, but there's an argument to be had at the very least, right?
Yeah, I think DeMar was like good enough when on the Spurs where it wouldn't be that he gets it.
Yeah, exactly. That's my thing too. Because like the NBA is weird with its awards and kind of like the unwritten rules to go with them. Because like a second year guy can't win most improved in most cases, and a second year guy can win rookie of the year, and a guy who has been good before, fallen off, and is good again can't win most improved, which is goofy to me. Like, I feel like based off narratives alone, and again, maybe it's just my bias coming out, but you're looking at a guy who was the worst signing of the offseason, and that wasn't just like one idiot writer saying that. That was a consensus opinion that a lot of people held. And he was an MVP candidate up until like a couple weeks ago, if that, maybe like 2 weeks ago. Like, that seems pretty damn improved to me. But I guess because Ja is still in the MVP race and DeMar really isn't, then he's kind of out of it. And speaking of the MVP race, I want to ask you, because again, you know more than I do with this stuff. Does Devin Booker have a legitimate argument?
No. I think just because like the Nuggets are so good without Jamal Murray,
Mm-hmm.
the Bucks are still really good, even though Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday have been playing not as good as they have been.
Mm-hmm.
The Sixers are only good because of Embiid. But like the Suns, I mean, they have like CP3, DeAndre Ayton, McCall Bridges, Jay Crowder, all these guys that are really good.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they are really good because they have all these players that can do all of these things. And I think when you have a team like that, it's very hard to win MVP. And I honestly, as on top of that, his numbers aren't even that amazing. They're not that astounding. Like I still think Jason Tatum is a better player than him, and he
Hmm.
has the stats to back that up.
Yeah, and Jason Tatum's actually in the MVP conversation now, right?
Love it. Yes, he is. Love to see it.
Yeah. This is gonna sound stupid. Where did Jason Tatum go to college?
Duke.
Oh, right. I forgot I don't like Jason Tatum. That's right. That's right. Okay. I figured that's what it was. I couldn't remember if it was Duke or Kentucky. Because part of me was like, I don't like Jason Tatum, but I can't remember why. But I also want to like Jason Tatum. But
Yeah, he's
like,
very hard to not like.
yeah, but he was a Blue Devils, so you know.
I think he was on the team with Grayson Allen. So
Yeah, I'm almost positive he was. Speaking of Grayson Allen, did you see Tomas Satoransky get him?
no,
Oh
what?
my God! Hold on, I'll find it and send it to you so you can watch it after. But like Tomas Satoransky, former Bull, once a Bull, always a Bull, obviously, like messed him up. I can't remember what the play was. Hold on. He like went up for a layup and Tomas Satoransky just like, yeah, it was a flagrant. It was a straight up flagrant. Yeah, he he just straight up shoves him to the ground. I
Love
love
it,
it.
man.
Yeah. Yeah, Tomas Satoransky. I mean, he got traded to give us Lonzo, and he's still giving back to us after he's left. Gotta love that guy. And I liked him when he was in Chicago. He was the guy that I liked when they went and picked him up because he was like a point forward type of guy, and Chicago really needed that at the time. Let's see here. What else do I have written down? Oh, James Wiseman's out for the year. That's bad for Golden State, who I really wanted to win a title. I'm not going to lie to you. Once I realized the Bulls kind of aren't going to do it, the Warriors were like my dream because I want Steph Curry to prove to people that he doesn't need Kevin Durant still. Because I love
Yeah.
Steph. I absolutely love Steph. And I hate the narratives that build around him because of Durant and that whole uh, super team thing, which have you seen the picture that's going around Twitter where it's like Durant sitting wide open in the corner on the Warriors and four guys are guarding Steph?
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, people have the nerve to talk shit about Steph Curry when that happened, yet he was still clearly the best player on the team. But what did Wiseman even do? I can't remember what he did. Hold on. Let's find this out. Oh, it's his knee.
Of course.
Yikes. Yeah. Now, does this say. Yeah, it says rest of the season.
Oh my god.
So I'm assuming that means. It doesn't say anything about the playoffs, but it seems like the Warriors are being cautious because they're worried about him long term. So they're probably not going to have him for the playoffs, which is rough for them. Obviously, with the West being the way it is, especially
It's
with
so
bigs.
rough.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is not only bad for this season, it's bad for last season and bad for their future because James Wiseman was the second pick?
Yeah,
Second pick.
second overall pick.
Second pick, he has so much potential. He had so much potential, but
Mm-hmm.
he's been injured
Yeah,
for like 80% of his career so far.
yeah.
You maybe can't even trade him away at this point. Well, you probably could to a desperate team, but like his value is way down
Mm-hmm.
because of his injuries, and you wasted that pick. You could have made a move where you have a better player now, but instead you drafted for the future or whatever. I'm still confused about why they drafted him instead of trading. Same thing with this draft.
Mm-hmm.
Warriors are in a weird spot, but like I don't understand why you wouldn't like in hindsight you should have
Right.
traded that pick away because James Wiseman is now battered and injured all the time.
Well, I feel like a lot of people, even at the time, thought the Warriors should have made that move. I definitely did. The Warriors, like you said, they're in a weird spot that a lot of teams are kind of in, where they try to be relevant now and in the future. And if your best player is in their 30s, that's not going to work. It's just not going to work. Like when the Bulls were good, I said something about that. And DeMar's in his 30s, that's not going to work. With Curry in his 30s, that's not going to work. you got to build around these guys now, win your title now, and then I don't know, wait till their value's high and sell high or something. I don't really know where you can go with it from the future, or just suck it up and rebuild afterwards. But Golden State doesn't seem to want to do that, and like you said, it's probably going to cost them if Wiseman can't get his shit together. I do like the pick they made this last year, though. This last year was Kuminga, right?
Yeah,
I really like
really good
Jonathan
pick.
Kuminga. I really like him.
Yeah.
He's a stud, and he has like the best nickname in all of sports.
Go ahead and say it, man.
What? You hating on the cum bucket?
I'm loving on the come bucket, man.
Oh my god! Yeah, it's a glorious nickname.
So
Um,
good.
dude, I love nicknames in sports. It's like he can't handle it.
It's so bad. It's
What do
so
you mean
bad.
it's bad? It's wonderful.
It makes sense.
Yeah,
It
it's
makes
it's
sense.
based off the beloved location in the children's show SpongeBob, the chum bucket.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah,
just the
yeah, but
first
it's his
name.
name because his name rhymes with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What were you thinking?
No, I thought that too.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay. Just making sure. Um, speaking of goofy things in the NBA, have you seen where Kenny King of the fourth quarter found out that the Lakers have never used LeBron in a losing graphic? Like, you know how NBA teams, after they win or lose, they tweet out like the graphic on their Twitter. They have
Oh
never
yeah.
used LeBron for a loss. They've only used him for wins. And a lot of people think that that's like something in LeBron's contract, which wouldn't surprise me at all, like as a branding thing.
Yeah.
Because, listen, I hate LeBron more than I've ever hated him right now because that man is the definition of empty stats. Because they're getting blown out night in and night out. But he's getting his 40 points. He's getting his 39 and 8. I hate it. I hate it. You never saw Jordan doing that. Never. Jordan was never getting beat and putting up 40 points. Unless we're talking about like that one playoff game against the Celtics where he put up 63. But like he was
Yeah.
rolling with the cocaine circus at that point. Um, I think that's it for the NBA. The NFL, things are still happening. March is about to wrap up, and it's been the craziest month in NFL history, most likely. I saw like a timeline of events, and it was just every other day something big happened. X got traded, Rodgers re-signed. X got traded, Brady came back. Like it's just been a continuous loop. And since we've last recorded, Tyreek Hill got traded to the Miami Dolphins. Like 3 hours after it got announced that they might trade him, which
Yeah.
is insane. They gave up, or the Dolphins gave up what it was like a first, a second, and a couple other like later picks, and they gave Tyreek 30 million a year, which is wild, but
Yeah.
worth it. And the scary thing about this trade is it reminds me a lot of when the Bears traded for Khalil Mack because they're banking heavily on a quarterback that may or may not be decent. Like I like Tua, I have faith in Tua, but with how stacked the AFC is, and you look at all these teams that have like top 8 quarterbacks, I don't know if Tua's ever going to get his name like into that. So that's concerning. But Tyreek Hill would be like the best player to help him out, considering how diverse of a weapon he is. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, you're not going to see him utilized like he was in Kansas City, where Mahomes was chucking it 40, 50 yards downfield to him. Tua just doesn't have the arm to do that. But Tua came from Alabama, where they were running a very heavy RPO offense. And Tyreek Hill is very much a guy that if you get it to him short, he can take off, make plays by himself. So Miami's going to be running a lot of RPOs, a lot of short throws, screen passes, putting Tyreek in the backfield. You know, Mike McDaniel coming over from San Francisco, they did that a lot with Deebo Samuel. Tyreek Hill is more explosive than Deebo Samuel. You're not going to see him used as like an actual running back, but I like the move for them. And then for the Chiefs, you know, they had to do it. It's just kind of the trend now where teams aren't willing to pay wide receivers when they've already paid their quarterback, and it makes sense. I saw a tweet right when it happened that said that if Tyreek would have gotten the 30 million a year he's getting from Miami and Kansas City, then him and Mahomes together would have accounted for 40% of their total cap space. and that leaves you 60% of your cap to fill out 51 other roster spots and be competitive in the most stacked division in the most stacked conference in the entire league. And that's just not going to work out. So they had to get rid of him. It's a really good
Yeah.
receiver class. They have the assets to maybe move up for one if they really want to. If they want to go get like Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Jameson Williams, whoever, or if they want to sit back and draft like Christian Watson, George Pickens, they're in a good spot. It's not ideal. Whoever they get is not going to be as good as Tyreek, but it's a damn good consolation prize.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people aren't looking at it like that. It's just, oh, you traded away Tyreek Hill and now you're going to be bad. That's not the case. The Chiefs are historically, at least within this current regime, they're great at drafting. And I don't have any concern with them good lord. With them falling off. I swear to God, my voice cracks once an episode. But I don't have any concern with them long term. I think they will be perfectly fine. You still have the best quarterback in football. Their offense is probably going to have to be a little bit more disciplined. It's not going to be backyard football like it was with Tyreek, but that might work to Mahomes' benefit because we saw last year at the very beginning where he was playing horribly, and that was mainly because he was trying to do a little bit of everything himself. So let's see what else happened in the NFL. Oh, have you seen the diversity quota thing that they just installed or put into place?
No.
So you know what the Rooney Rule is, right? Where you have to interview one minority candidate for every opening. Okay, so they changed it. They updated it. So now women are included. So you either have to interview a minority coach or a woman, which is great because women absolutely should be coaching in the NFL. I don't care what anyone says. You know, there are women out there that know more about football than I will ever know, and will probably know more than half of the NFL head coaches will ever know. So this is great. I love this. And all teams are now being required to hire a, quote, diverse person. So again, a female or a minority, to work closely with the head coach and offensive staff as an offensive assistant. And the reason they're doing this is because most head coaches in the NFL nowadays seem to be like offensive-minded head coaches, where it seems like historically most minority head coaches are defensive-minded, or they were like kind of in between. Like Mike Tomlin, before he became a head coach, was like a special teams coach. And you look at other guys like Lovie Smith, defensive and whatnot. But the NFL is trending towards a lot of head coaches being more offensive minded. So they're really trying to encourage that kind of stuff. And that's great. That's absolutely wonderful. I don't know why this wasn't a thing sooner. And after the whole Brian Flores thing that happened, which I don't care what anyone says, I believe that man 100%. People are idiots if they don't. This is a good way to make up for it. It's not perfect because people are still going to find a way to manipulate it and get around it. But this is a great start. You know, Andrew, how do you feel about it? Let's get your input here.
It's definitely a great step in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
Like you've basically said it perfectly. It's giving a great opportunity to people that deserve it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have people like Matt Nagy in a job for however long, and he's not good.
Mm-hmm.
And you have all these other people. It doesn't even matter if they're a minority or if they're a woman. They're smarter than this person, so why not even give them an opportunity? Just because of who they are or what they are or whatever. It's a very good step. I'm very proud of the NFL.
Yeah, the NFL actually did something right for once. It's very surprising. Yeah. Speaking of rule changes, there was another one too where they're like considering changing the overtime rules, and we've already talked about this 100 times on here. It's pointless. It's stupid. It's goofy. There's no point. The overtime rules are fine. Just play some goddamn defense. Point blank. Period. That's all it is. Teams are mad because their teams can't play defense, and maybe I'm a little bit too old school because defense wins championships. It does. I don't care what anyone says. But if your defense can't hold up, then you don't deserve to win. Like that Bills game, I get that they were going back and forth, and neither defense was going to stop the other one. But the Bills had one of, if not the best defense in the league in the regular season. It's not Kansas City's fault that they couldn't get one stop. One stop is not that hard to get in the NFL relative to keeping up with a team for an entire game. If you can keep up with them for an entire game, there is a good chance you can get one stop. And if you can't get that one stop, you don't deserve to win. This isn't, some pee-wee league. This isn't where you get everyone gets a shot because it's fair. It's football. It's real life. It's not always going to be 100% peachy keen perfect. If it's not fair, then that's just what it is. It's as fair as it needs to be, basically. And I know other leagues like the NBA, they just play an extra 5 minutes or something, or however long. And then hockey and soccer, you do penalty shots. In college football, you do the 2-point conversion thing. That's fine for those sports. For basketball, it's a fast-paced game. That 5 minutes goes by quick. Hockey doing penalty shots, soccer doing penalty shots, that's different because those games are super slow-paced as is. Well, at least soccer is. Hockey isn't quite as bad. But the NFL isn't like that. It takes you 3 hours to get through an hour of gameplay. You can't add a whole extra quarter for both teams to play it out. You can't do a shootout because that Chiefs-Bills game, it would have gone on forever, and that's cool. Sure, you're getting more football, but then you're putting players in an unnecessary situation. They can get hurt. You are taking up broadcasting time, which isn't cheap. That is going to cost you. And it's just not fair because one fluky play can happen where it's going to end it. I think that's less fair than just get a stop or don't get a stop. Maybe that's just me, but yeah, I'm doing a lot of talking. Let's move on here. The Oscars happened last night, and Andrew, how do you feel about what went down?
It's got to be probably the most awkward situation I can possibly think of.
Mm-hmm.
They should change the dictionary definition of awkward and just put a picture of what happened during the Oscars in place of the definition.
Okay.
It's so crazy. My perspective on it is comedy in general. Make whatever jokes you want, but be ready for the consequences.
Mm-hmm.
But Will Smith was laughing at it, then looked at Jada, saw that she wasn't laughing at it, whatever happened, and then he stood up and smacked him. I don't know what happened. Nobody really knows what happened, but at some point it switched in Will Smith's head that he's got to smack this guy. And I think Chris Rock always makes those types of jokes where it's slightly offensive, whoa, laugh. And it's maybe he did deserve to get slapped for that privately, but this is in front of everyone.
Yeah.
All of these role models that are super hard workers that you're a part of their industry and people still look up to you because you're that experienced and you just get swatted. If I'm in that situation and I'm Chris Rock, I'm crying on stage just from the embarrassment of it because you get smacked in the face. What do you do? Mm-hmm. You're just oh man, that sucked. Anyways, let me keep talking about this movie that I'm going to introduce.
Right.
That's the worst part of it, that he had to keep going after that. And then Will Smith won Best Actor.
Which is the most badass thing ever. He smacked the shit out of somebody, then won Best Actor.
20 minutes later.
Nothing can ever top that.
Stand back up. He sat down and had to stand back up to accept an award.
Yeah. And he went up there, and first of all, his acceptance speech, I don't know if you've seen it, was glorious. He didn't apologize for what happened. He owned it. He was like, listen, man, we all do crazy things for love. And that was a perfect way to summarize it. And Denzel Washington backed him up. Right after it happened, Denzel went over to him and talked to him, which, first of all, if you smack the fuck out of somebody and then Denzel walks over to you to give you a pep talk, you're going to feel like the shit. And Denzel said something really profound. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was the devil strikes when you're at your highest or something like that, which is super profound. Denzel is just dude's amazing. He's wonderful. And when Will was giving his speech, Denzel spoke up from the crowd, and Will gave him a little shout out, which was great. But he completely owned it. However, the event itself, I got to disagree. I think Will was 100% justified. I think he did the right thing. Genuinely, I think he did the right thing. And
Yeah.
okay, just breaking it down from the start. He was laughing, but like when a joke like that happens at those award shows, you're just kind of like, oh, haha, like you're just going to go along with it, right? But you have his wife, who they've had their ups and downs, obviously. There's been a lot of stuff about them over the years, which people don't realize, I don't think, that the whole like Will Smith getting cheated on thing, they have an open marriage. So both of them do it. It's a consensual thing where it's like they go out, do whatever they want to do, have their fun, but at the end of the day, they come home to each other. They want to be with each other, that kind of thing. Which, yeah, that's weird. That's not normal. But they're celebrities. They're weird. They're not normal. So them doing that, you can't be mad at Will for taking up for her just because he cheated on her. They do it to each other. And Will has admitted to cheating on her, which that's the other thing. Nobody's perfect. I think everybody forgets that. I know Will Smith is like everyone's dad, but he's not perfect. He's made mistakes. He's done bad things. And him going up on stage, he saw his wife, who is dealing with something that is really, really bad for her. The whole alopecia thing. I understand it's not like a life-threatening illness, but she's been very vocal about how hard it is for her and how much she's struggling with it. And especially going to the Oscars, without her hair, how hard that was for her and how scared she was. So for Chris Rock to poke fun at that, I do agree that comedy is comedy, but you got to know better than that. That's that man's wife. You do not sit and make fun of that man's wife's illness on the biggest night in Hollywood, because nobody gives a shit about the Oscars anymore. Yeah. So Will walking up to him and smacking him, and it wasn't even a hard smack. That was a love tap. If Will wanted to, he could have dropped Chris Rock. Chris Rock is a bitch. Will could have straight up dropped him if he wanted to, but he didn't. He smacked him to send a message, and he sent a message because Chris Rock was pissing his pants after. Because Will said, keep my wife's name out of your fucking mouth. And he said, okay, I will. And then he went back to presenting his award because Chris Rock is a bitch. And yeah, maybe Will overreacted a little bit, but that's his woman. You don't do that. You just don't. You don't embarrass her like that, because she was not digging it. She was not cool with it. And I still love that people think it was fake after everything that happened with it. Because first of all, Chris Rock wouldn't have stopped in his tracks if that was fake. He would have, there would have been more back and forth. Second of all, I don't like to get too political on here, but they're not going to have a black man walk up and hit another black man at a predominantly white event in the year 2022. That's just not going to happen. That is such a bad look. That is just an excuse for some old white man to come forward and be like, well, those people, them people, that's what they do. They're all violent. No, they're not going to do that. They're smarter than that. And I've seen a lot of people getting mad at Will over that. That's stupid. I understand that black on black violence in America is a bad thing. It's a big thing. But when you put that into context, why would you be mad at Will? A lot of people would do the same thing. And then the other thing that gets me is the idiots that are like, well, if The Rock or Denzel would have said that, he wouldn't have went up. Well, The Rock or Denzel wouldn't have fucking said that. Yeah, Denzel has way too much respect for Will Smith to ever do something like that, and The Rock knows his boundaries. The
Rock is just a good guy.
Yeah, that's exactly. Nobody with morality is going to say that. The only reason Chris Rock said that is because he's a little bitch and he thought he could get away with it. And Will said, fuck that. Don't talk shit about my wife, and sent a message. And I don't see the issue. And then, I don't know if you saw, but afterwards, Will went to some after party and was had a bottle of champagne dancing, and the media tried to get a hold of him. He said, I got no comment, and just went back to dancing. And then he came out and apologized for it today. But people are overreacting. He smacked him. It's not like he went up and knocked him out. He didn't beat the shit out of him. He slapped him. It was a simple slap. It was loud because Will's got big hands. But it was a simple slap. And that's all. Don't act like you've never smacked somebody before. We've all done it. We've all smacked somebody for saying some dumb shit before. And like, yeah, it's assault. I get that. But Chris Rock isn't pressing charges because he's scared. So I still don't see the issue. I really don't. I think Will was absolutely justified in that.
I think it is a long time coming because, like I said, Chris Rock has always said stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that, and he's always gotten away with it. And I think that comedy like that is old. Like comedy of just making fun of somebody, like with something that they're struggling with and something that they can't
Yeah.
specifically. Like you can't just attack a person and make
Mm-hmm.
fun of them for that one thing and then expect nothing to happen.
Yeah. I mean, I do genuinely think that comedy has no limits. Like, I think you can make fun of most things, but you gotta have like some understanding or be able to acknowledge that it's a joke. Like, I know Chris Rock tried the whole "it was a GI Jane" joke. Like, buddy, it's too late for that. You already dug yourself your grave. Just shut the fuck up and give the award. But obviously, I guess there are some things you shouldn't really touch depending on who you are. But if it's something that you've like personally dealt with, like if you're say a black man joking about what it's like to be a black man in America, like that's fine. That might come off as offensive, but like that's you've dealt with it. Or a woman doing the same thing. A lot of female comedians do joke about the kind of stuff that women deal with. And like yeah, it's not funny by itself, but that's what these people do. They twist it and make it funny. So like I get what Chris Rock was trying to do, but like you said, you can't just attack the man's wife. That's not cool. Like if you're doing it in a general sense, if you would have said something like, "I saw a bald woman the other day and she looked like she should have been in GI Jane too," like that's different. But if you're directing it at someone that you know is struggling with it, like you said, that's just fucked up. That's just an insult wrapped in comedy, and like yeah, it's a joke, but it's still gonna hurt their feelings. That's not how that works. I don't know. I feel really conflicted with that though. Like the concept of being able to joke about things and not being able to joke about things, because there's a lot of really fucking funny comedians who joke about some really fucked up stuff, but like it's a joke, but it's still really fucked up when you think about it. And like there is some value in shock value and humor, but you just can't attack people. That's not okay, regardless of who you are, what the joke is, whatever. And this whole like meaningful conversation we're having is being fucking ruined by Discord because these stupid fucking notifications won't shut up. I have said fuck a lot today. I am in
Yeah,
some
man.
sort of fucking mood. Like I keep saying I want to cut back. I want to cut back, but I don't know. I'm just feeling some type of fucking way.
As long as they're not in the first 2 minutes of the video, I think we're good.
Oh yeah, isn't that the thing with YouTube? Like the first two
Yeah.
minutes is what they check. What are we talking about in the first 2 minutes? We talked about Batman. I don't think they're
They're
gonna.
gonna love that.
They're not
They're
gonna
gonna shit out.
demonetize Batman. Yeah. What else do I have written down here? Let's see here. Oh, okay. Um, did you see on Disney Plus where they added all of the Netflix Marvel shows, and now they're starting to introduce like mature content to Disney Plus?
Yeah, I've seen stuff about that.
Okay. I love that. I think that's such a big step for Disney because first of all, the Marvel Disney Plus or the Marvel Netflix shows are amazing. Daredevil might be the best piece of Marvel content out there, and I'm saying that with Spider-Man No Way Home existing, and I genuinely mean that. Um, I, I just love that, and that sets the tone. We have Daredevil confirmed in the MCU now with Spider-Man No Way Home, and him and Spider Man are like really close in the MCU or in Marvel. So I'm really hoping that Spider Man 4 has Daredevil in it. That would be so cool, like a Spider Man and Daredevil team up. And you could do like Kingpin as the villain because that's like because he was a Spider Man villain before anything. He was introduced in a Spider Man comic, and then they kind
Yeah.
of adopted him with Daredevil and put him in the Daredevil show, which was amazing. I just finally finished that the other day, and it's just so great. It's so great. I want to see so much more of Charlie Cox as Daredevil, and I think him and Tom Holland would work together amazingly. I like the concept. So I don't. Have you seen Daredevil?
I've seen like a couple episodes here and there,
Okay.
but like
So he can tell when someone's lying based on their heartbeat. And I think
yes.
it would be really cool if you had him and Spider-Man run into each other, and Tom's really struggling with Peter is really struggling with like not having anyone, so maybe he like tries to associate with Matt Murdock, and he'll be like, "I know you. You were my lawyer. I'm Spider-Man," and then he would like be able to tell that he isn't lying through his heartbeat. I don't know. Maybe that's goofy, but like I think that would be cool. And then that's how they set up their little friendship. And then they got to take on Kingpin, and that's Spider-Man 4. And then Daredevil gets his own Disney Plus show, and they run it for like 5 or 6 seasons because Daredevil's great, and we need more Daredevil always. He's amazing. I didn't know. I didn't really know where I was going with that. I just want to talk about Daredevil. um, I don't know. Do we? Is there anything else you want to talk about here?
Nah, man, I'm good.
I don't even know how long we've been recording. Um, let's see here. Oh, I'm supposed to remind everybody that 60% of our viewers are not subscribed. Let's fix that. We're now over 50 subscribers, which is dope. It doesn't feel like a lot, but it is. We're slowly getting up there. When we
That's
hit
our first month.
100, what are we going to do when we hit 100? That should be our goal. We need to set something here.
We get Will Smith on the podcast.
Yes, that's what'll happen. We will get Will Smith on the podcast, and he will slap Andrew.
Yes. I will invite him to my house in good old Western Maryland. He'll
Yeah.
definitely come on.
Yep. Dude, speaking of which, unrelated, but I've sent so many DMs out in the past, like, since we've had Clint on the show. I've tried to DM so many people, still haven't gotten a response. Hold on, I'll tell you who hasn't responded to me here, because some of these make me sad, because most of them are Bears players. I'm not gonna lie. And a couple of them are just draft prospects. We have Nick Cross from Maryland. We have Tevin Jenkins, Thomas Graham, Justin Fields, Daz Newsome, all from the Bears. David Bell, who's another draft prospect, and Christian Watson, who's another draft prospect. And none of them have DM'd me back, and I'm mad. But like,
come on!
like I don't know. Twitter's weird. Twitter's weird. That's what we'll talk about here. Twitter's weird. Do you use it often, if ever?
I only use it to screenshot stuff for my
videos. Okay. On TikTok. That's pretty much what I do too. But like here and there, I'll like quote tweet something or tweet something out because I'm trying to like make that usable because I know that's a good place to like advertise and whatnot. So I have like 100 or so followers on there. It's not a lot. It's nothing. And I'm followed by like genuine verified Bears journalists, which I find hilarious. Like Brian Perez, who works for the Draft Network. Hold on, I'll look for some of these here. So there's him. There's this guy named McNeil, who is like a big Browns fan. He's got 430,000 followers on Twitter. Hold on, there's more. There's definitely more in here. There's this guy named Swiftism, who's like a YouTuber that does Bears stuff. God, I can't find them. Oh, do you know who J&D Productions is on YouTube?
I think I've heard of that before.
They do a lot of football stuff. They talk about like football players. But one of them follows me on Twitter. One of the two of them. A bunch. What is it?
J or the D? Which one?
The J.
Oh.
Yeah, the J follows me. There's a guy named Max Markham who's a big Bears guy. Matt Newton, who is a Bears writer, has like, what did it say, like 137,000 followers. I don't know why these people follow me. That's the funny thing. Like,
get a shout out.
What?
Get a shout out.
Rob Perez, who's like working with Underdog Fantasy. Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah. There's a lot of people. Windy City Fanside, which is like the Bears fanside page. Also, this guy named Daniel Reed. I don't know if you know him. He wants to come on the podcast and talk about the Steelers at some point, and I want to let him.
Wanted to, man. He told me.
Yeah, no, I want him to come on. Do you remember during High School Musical when me, you, and him would sit and talk about football?
Yeah.
That was like,
Well, you and him would talk about football. I'd be like, yeah, Patrick Mahomes is pretty good.
yeah, and then we would talk about or you two would talk about basketball. I'd be like, yeah, Steph Curry. um, dude, that was like one of the few things from that show I really liked because that show was rough for me.
That was such a rough show. If we would have put that on, it would have been an
Mm-hmm.
absolute flop. Nobody knew anything.
I didn't know
were
anything
a week
either.
out, and I didn't know any of the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's just us speaking. Maybe everyone else was perfectly fine, and me and you were the only idiots who didn't. But I didn't know any of my stuff either. And like, it was so uncomfortable for me because that was before my like singing voice kind of picked up a little bit, and we had to sing like an octave higher than I was used to, and that sucked. Like my throat hurt constantly.
We were the bassist, and we were singing like alto notes.
Yeah.
For no reason.
Yeah. And we weren't the only ones. I mean, I don't know. Maybe we were the only ones struggling with that, but there are more people that were like exactly like us that were doing the same thing. It was just a rough show. But like, I did so much like corner sitting during that, just kind of chilling. And there was no service there, so I couldn't sit on my phone. So I would just sit there awkwardly. It was so bad. What were we talking about? Oh, Twitter. Yeah, so Twitter's weird. I don't know. I don't understand it. I just wanted to kind of brag that people that matter follow me on there for some reason. Speaking, I don't know. I'm just trying to create things to talk about because I don't know how long we've been going. I'm trying to shoot for an hour here. Have I talked to you about that Connor Burns kid? Have we talked about that on here before?
You're gonna have to remind me who he is.
He's like that guy on TikTok who does Bears stuff, and like his girlfriend tried to get me banned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
I've kind of given up on the whole like being peaceful with him because he's an idiot. He's an absolute idiot. I stitched one of his videos because he was like, if you don't support only teams from one city, it's a red flag. I was like, dude, no, that's so stupid. Like, me and Andrew are both from Maryland. He's a New York sports fan and a Maryland college fan. I'm a Chicago sports fan and a Carolina college fan. And that doesn't, like, make us invalid. That would just be silly. That would be a silly, goofy thing to believe.
Yeah.
I will never understand that mentality because, like, what am I supposed to be, a Ravens fan? Do you want to be a fucking Ravens fan? A Wizards fan?
Ravens, Wizards, and UMD. Let's go.
I have a deep hatred for Maryland, like the college and the state.
They're pretty bad, but I want to go there. But it's fine.
No, I'll stick with my fun little D2 school that I go to. Screw going to a big name college.
I'll stick with fun little FSU. Man.
Yeah, the real FSU. Yeah. Which, ironically, Frostburg, unless I'm completely tripping, could end up being a D1 school. Like, I think they're on that trajectory, but I think I don't know a lot about like the differences in divisions and whatnot. I think you have to have a certain number of students to be a D1 school, and I don't think Frostburg has near enough.
Frostburg will not get that anytime soon.
I know in terms of like competitiveness, like they got moved up from D3 to D2 because their football team was just like smacking everyone around and did not fucking lose for like 4 years. My cousin, one of his buddies, was the assistant coach up there when that was going on, and he told me about it. And like I don't know, I think they're still doing good in football. I don't know. I'm not paying attention to fucking D2 college football.
Yeah,
like
I don't even think they had a team, honestly.
I should be paying attention considering I attend the school, but like,
yeah.
I don't watch a lot of college football to begin with. Why the fuck would I watch D2 college football? Oh my goodness. So college is weird. Um, I don't recommend it. Although I also do because like in today, well, no, I was gonna say in today's society you kind of need it, but like you don't.
Yeah, less and less people need college like every year.
Hmm. But college is weird because like you get there and you're like set on doing one thing, and then like a semester and you're like, no, I'm good. Like I went in as a what is it, a secondary education major, so I could be a high school teacher, and then I took one introduction to education class, and I missed like one too many classes because it was an 8 a.m. class, and like I'm human. Sometimes I just can't do that. Sometimes it just doesn't happen. And my professor was like, she emailed me and she was like, I really don't know if you can handle it. I don't know if you can get into our education program. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm going to go do the thing that I actually want to do, but probably isn't financially stable. So now I'm a mass communications major and I'm going to minor in journalism because I want to talk football for the rest of my life. But I don't know. I'm probably going to end up being a fucking radio host in some small town.
That's not a bad thing.
No,
You get
it's
to be the
it's
hero for a lot of
yeah,
people.
it's not a bad thing, but like I'm shooting for like ESPN. Or if ESPN's not a thing, like whatever online social media conglomerate takes its place, probably being Bleacher Report.
Yeah,
Like,
something like that.
yeah, like legitimately speaking, King of the Fourth Quarter, that is like my idol when it comes to this stuff. Because he made it. He worked for House of Highlights. He made it. I don't think I'll ever get that far, but he made it. Um, I don't know. I think we've rambled on for, I've rambled on for long enough. I'm supposed to. I told myself I was going to start asking a question at the end of the video because that gets like engagement going and whatnot, and that's what you want on YouTube. So, who would you guys want to see appear on the podcast? It could be literally anyone. It could be Justin Fields, Charles Barkley, your great aunt Denise, or it could be yourself. Whoever you want to see appear, just comment it. I just want a lot of comments. Just like 100 of them. That'd be great. Andrew, okay, like realistically, who would you want to have on to talk to?
Realistically, oh, I don't know, man. Probably like Mikey Williams.
Who? I don't know who that is.
Like most popular high school basketball player
Oh,
in the nation right now.
that's why. That's why I don't know who that is. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna say Daniel Reed because all of my other options have declined me. Although maybe I could get a hold of Kyle Long. That would be a dream.
I definitely should have said Daniel Reed, but
Yeah, you definitely should have
crossed
said Daniel Reed.
my mind. I didn't think about the star indoor soccer player slash Charlie Puth esque singer
Oh, is
and
that what we're
musician.
calling him now? A Charlie Puth esque singer.
I call him Mr. Puth. That's my nickname for him.
Has he really like switched it up that much?
Switch it up. He just was like that. He was just a freshman, so he didn't care.
Oh, you're right. You're right. You're right. The little freshie. God, I miss that kid. I do.
Yeah.
Um. Okay, so I'll flip it on you since we both agree on Daniel Reed. Who would be your dream to have on the podcast? Literally anybody. But
Shaq.
okay, okay. Shaq is valid. Shaq is very valid. Extremely valid. Um. Who would mine be? Dick Butkus. That would be mine. Although I wouldn't be able to put his name in the title. I'd have to
I was
censor
gonna
it.
say,
No, I can put Dick Butkus in the title. Enough people will click on the name Dick Butkus to have him on here.
yeah.
Him or Haley Steinfeld. That's my dream. Because then Haley Steinfeld would acknowledge I exist and my life would be complete. Bro,
That's so
bro,
sad.
she went to the oh god,
Oh
what
my
was
God.
it? What was it? Was it the shit. Hold on. It wasn't the
We're
Oscars.
going down a hole.
It
We're
wasn't the
going down a hole
Oscars.
right now.
It was a different hold on, let me check my Instagram story. I reposted it. Wasn't the Oscars. It was the Vanity Fair after party for the Oscars. And bro, she looked stunning. She
Take your
is.
shot, bro. Take your shoot.
Imagine. No, what is she like? Like 25? How old is she? I'm pretty sure she's 25. Yeah, 25. Just a 6-year age gap. No biggie.
Fine.
Yeah. Maybe when I'm on ESPN, I'll just like profess my level in air, and that's how I'll get her when I'm like 30 and she's like 36 and probably already married. Like, bro,
Fingers crossed she's not.
yeah.
Yeah, I hope.
I
Hold
mean,
out hope.
she dated someone from One Direction, but I definitely have a chance.
It's all about confidence.
Confidence, that's funny. This episode has devolved into bullshit, and I love it. That's the best part about this podcast. We fuck around. There I go again. There I go. That's why I don't have a chance with her, because I keep saying fuck on the podcast.
Yeah.
Once I stop saying fuck on the podcast, it'll be like those memes where society is perfect. We have flying cars, and she'll be like, I'll be able to hit her DMs and get a response.
No.
As soon as I stop saying fuck on the podcast, which is nearly impossible, I stopped saying fuck on TikTok. I'm halfway there because my aunt called me out on it.
Oh my god.
Listen, I'm a grown-ass man. I am a whole 19 years old, but I am not going to let my aunt call me out at family reunions.
Ooh.
The first time, she called me out in front of everybody. Dude, okay, I know I'm getting into another tangent, but like we were just sitting there in the living room eating. I was just chilling, minding my own business. I had a hamburger, and she was like, you know, I keep watching and liking your TikToks. And I was like, yeah, I saw. And she goes, but you need to stop cursing on there. You keep going, motherfuck this and motherfuck that, and this fucking guy. Like in front of my mom and my grandma. And I was like, yeah, I know, I'm trying to stop. I stopped because you called me out on it.
Please.
I just, listen, I was going to say, you don't know my family well enough to know, but like, we don't have a filter. That's just how it is. Like I was raised watching like South Park and Family Guy, and my mom okay, no, I can't say that because that might sound. Well, I'll say it. She jokingly has a shirt, or wanted to get a shirt. I can't remember which, that says "I cuss so I don't beat my kids,"
Oh my god.
which is funny as fuck. Because like she would never. I want to put that out there. That would never happen. But like that's funny.
That's funny.
That's really funny because my mom is worse than I am. Maybe I'll cut this part out.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll cut it off after he stopped talking about Will Smith like 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, literally like half an hour ago.
Yeah. See, that's what happens. I get talking and I can't stop. You gotta start cutting me off.
I don't know, man. It's just entertaining.
I mean, literally, this podcast is me rambling, and then every once in a while you say something very profound. And I'm like, yeah, that's great. And then I try to elaborate on it and just repeat what you say. That and the fact that we don't like disagree on anything are like the only two flaws of this podcast. Because there's never any debate. It's just like perfectly put. And then we move on.
Like, oh yeah, just elaborating on what you said.
Yeah. You elaborate on what I say, and then I elaborate on what you say by saying what you said in different words. Fuck, the Bulls just lost to the Knicks. In unrelated news, though, the Giants are not shopping Saquon Barkley.
I don't know how I feel about that.
I mean, you gotta do something. Dude, shut up, Daniel Greenberg. Chicago Sports Update. He just tweeted, the Chicago Bulls lose to the New York Knicks. Angry emoji. And, like, I felt that on a personal level. Was I going to say anything else? I'm just in a loop now. I can't end it. Okay, we're going to end it. That's all for today. We've had enough. I need to shut up now. Andrew, say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye, people.